Taiwan's provincial highway network connects villages to cities and keeps commerce flowing. Provincial highways traverse mountains and skirt Taiwan's coastline. At over 5,000 kilometers in length, these highways are Taiwan's vital economic lifeline. Along the Banana Bay coastal forest section of Provincial Route 26, Taiwan's southernmost provincial highway, a group of expectant mothers must, under a full summer moon, risk life and limb crossing this busy road to reach the sea and release their eggs. Until recently, habitat destruction, roadkill, and hunting were the identifiable threats to land crabs in the Banana Bay area. But in 2015, we identified a new threat, the yellow crazy ant, a recent invasive species. The threat posed by this onslaught of yellow crazy ants is unprecedented.
Yellow crazy ants are here in huge numbers. Their super colonies have had a devastating effect, cutting land crab numbers from several thousand to just a few.
Top-notch engineers and scientists have come together to reduce roadkill risks and protect these vulnerable land crabs. Will their efforts ultimately succeed? Kanding, a land of magical landscapes, wondrous scenery, and prolific diversity of life. It rises from the Western Pacific as the southernmost extent of the island of Taiwan. The warm Kuroshio current carries a plethora of life to Kanding's shores. Land crabs ride this current to Taiwan from habitat areas in the tropics, where they give birth to a new generation of land crabs in the coastal forests that fringe Banana Bay. In May, an unusually dry spring transforms the peninsula into a furnace and turns to parched brown the normally lush landscape. Kanding wildlife too seeks shelter from the heat. The overdue rainy season finally arrives. While wildlife get a welcome break from the heat, the rains awaken land crabs from hibernation and set the breeding season in motion. However, pregnant females today face a myriad of lethal challenges before releasing their young into the sea. Economic development has crisscrossed the Kanding region with wide ribbons of asphalt. Provincial Route 26 slices through the coastal forest along Banana Bay, creating a death trap for crabs traveling to the sea to release their young. After sunset, tall grass along a roadside begins to rustle with activity, countless eyes gaze out on the passing cars, awaiting the best chance to cross the busy roadway and reach the sea waters beyond. This crucial link in the land crab chain of life is also a mother crab's deadliest dance with fate. Held in the balance are the lives of hundreds of thousands of new land crab lives. Their vigilant caution is understandable, as one imprudent move could end under a passing car's tide. Thinking in terms of human scale, crab scaling a half-meter drain wall would be like our scaling a 20-meter wall. Also, the crab's 20-meter wide roadway crossing is the rough equivalent of 400 meters for humans. Thus, the 2 to 3 minutes that crabs spend exposed on the open road is fraught with peril. With stable salinity and rich nutrients providing an ideal environment for land crab larvae, even with the roadway's myriad dangers, the sea remains the land crab nursery of choice. Although each crab releases huge numbers of fertilized eggs into coastal waters, these inviting waters are rife with peril. Thus, of countless millions, only a lucky few will survive into adulthood and find their way back to the coastal forest. To help avoid the tragedy of roadkill incidents, the Directorate General of Highways, DGH, has engaged top engineering and scientific talent to study the issue of land crab deaths along PR-26 between Banana Bay and Shadao, and to develop effective countermeasures.
The target of our services is not just people. How, in terms of our needs, may we best coexist with land crabs? I'd like it to be a broad public effort. Might we someday restore the right-of-way to crabs? Return these roads to the crabs.
Summertime is vacation travel time, when tourists flock to the Kunding area and cars rush intently forward toward their destinations. A 2017 breeding season survey recorded that only slightly over 500 blue land crab females had released their eggs into the sea, raising fears of looming extinction. We can see a spike in roadkill accidents when there are more cars on the road. Moreover, when peak land crab spawning dates just happen to fall on a weekend, the severity of the slaughter correlates closely with tourist numbers. Biologist Dr. Hongchang Liu has been researching land crabs in the Kunding area for over 2 decades. The coastal forest behind me here is dominated by strands of Barringtonia. I'm of the opinion that this forest at Banana Bay is the peninsula's hotspot for land crab activity. Within just a hectare or so of forest, we've recorded over 20 distinct land crab species. Based on years of close observation, Dr. Liu determined that land crabs regularly spawn during the nights between the full and new moon during the rainy season. Dr. Liu hopes also to use infrared video to further elicit the timing and mechanisms that are associated with crab movements in order to raise the efficacy of protection efforts. Different specimens, different species, they all behave slightly differently. During breeding season, we investigate the number of successful spawnings as well as roadkill incidents. Summing these numbers tells us where the current roadkill hotspots are. We hope that aggregated data will help us to put together an effective land crab eco-corridor plan. Reducing roadkill has become a priority issue at the DGH. The engineering team is in place, working together to resolve key challenges and committed to designing a suitable crab corridor within the limited time permitted. The earlier this corridor is available, the quicker it will help alleviate this threat to land crabs. Dr. Liu's research pinpointed the section of PR26 between Banana Bay and Shadao as the main staging ground for land crab spawning. And the engineering team plans to lay drainage culverts under the roadway to create a safe crab corridor.
The culverts we've designed are intended to connect the interior and ocean sides of the road. So at Shadao, we've installed 2 culverts that let land crabs transit safely to the sea and spawn.
During the rainy season, the culverts are inundated with water, so engineers installed a grooved channel along the inner walls of the culverts, fitted with wood strips and hemp rope to help female crabs make the transit. Moreover, the DGH installed 100 meters of plastic canvas along both sides of culvert entrances, both as a slippery screen to prevent land crabs from climbing up and onto the roadway, and as a herding mechanism to direct crabs into the culverts. Land crab spawning season hits its peak from July through October. During this period, the DGH closes down 2 lanes of the 4-lane PR26 and institutes a 10-minute open, 10-minute closed road access policy in line with land crab conservation efforts. Restrictions even remain in force during the busy Mid-Autumn Festival vacation rush. Conservation volunteers and members of the public follow the highway looking for signs of female land crabs. Once spotted, the crabs are corralled into a net where they are measured, tagged, and logged, with data used to count numbers and assess post-spawning weight changes in cunding area land crabs. Once finished, the female land crabs are helped safely across the road and to the seashore to release their eggs into the sea. The howling winds mark the peninsula's slip into winter. At year's end, only the spring-fed marshes of the coastal forests continue to hum with uninterrupted life. Although tourists now widely respect and support the campaign to help land crabs safely reach the sea, numbers of spawning females have continued to decline. This decline is due to a deadly threat from a new, invisible killer. Anaplelepsis chrysilepes, or yellow crazy ants, are a terribly deadly, invasive ant species that killed some 40 million red crabs on Christmas Island. In the Kunding region, yellow crazy ants threaten more than land crabs. The area's arthropods, reptiles, and insects are now all in danger of crazy ant predation. The red apple crab is the most common land crab in the coastal forests along Banana Bay. However, their population has taken a sharp downward turn since 2015. The main cause, in addition to habitat destruction, roadkill accidents, and capture, the biggest threat to this population is yellow crazy ant attacks. Red apple crabs are a relatively small land crab species, so even a small band of ants, even a pack of 20 or 30 in some cases, can attack and kill a red apple crab. And the time needed to finish the kill is usually not long at all. This has caused red apple crab numbers to plummet to the brink of zero in just 3 years. Land crabs, the scavenger cleaners of coastal forests, feast on organic detritus and plant seedlings along the forest floor. However, the yellow crazy ant infestation that devastated land crab populations has changed fundamentally the composition of coastal forests and the associated ecosystem. The seriousness of the yellow crazy ant threat led ant specialist Dr. Zhongqi Lin to set up over 60 survey points in land crab activity hotspots in order to better assess the distribution of these ants in the Kunding area. His results found that ant populations clustered in areas of regular human activity, such as the PR26 roadway corridor, popular tourist sites, and farmland, forming super colonies encompassing millions of ants. Millions of yellow crazy ants here have come together in super colonies, which of course threaten land crab survival. From 2013, 2015 through 2017, land crab numbers fell from several thousand to a few hundred. Last year, our survey found less than 10. Dr. Lin's research team makes use of the ants' food preferences and food messaging behavior to set up bait stations with bait that kills both ant pupae and the queen when taken back to the nest. Also, the ant traps that are set up along yellow crazy ant pathways and collected and disposed of every month effectively break communications between super colonies and hasten their collapse. The control measures taken over the past few years have so far reduced yellow crazy ant concentrations by about 30%, with even larger reductions in several land crab habitats. This approach can help significantly reduce the threat of these ants to land crabs. Following up on this success, the DGH engineering team coated culvert walls and the plastic canvas shielding with a protective ant barrier coating to keep female crabs safe from ant predations on their journey to the sea. The roadkill threat along PR26 is just the tip of a dangerous iceberg. Every year worldwide, millions of animals are killed by motor vehicles on roadways. Thus, efforts are ongoing across the globe to reduce this problem and ensure the safety of wildlife. The Christmas Island Crab Bridge Initiative and Taiwan's crab protective culverts are successful examples of such efforts. The DGH engineering team integrates eco-conservation principles, engineering expertise and experience, and multidisciplinary scientific support into its planning of Taiwan's roadways, helping deliver convenience to users while meeting the needs of wildlife protection and environmental sustainability, moving us closer to the goal of making all of our roadways wildlife safe.